Going over my ADC tier list for patch 4.2a, and we got a lot to talk about. So first, we're going to start off with the D tier because, you know, that is the lowest tier on my list. Now, in this list, I got two champions, Miss Fortune and Senna. So if you notice, MF got a buff in the recent patch because she is just that weak. Now, I've been playing her. The thing is she has no mobility. She doesn't really have that crazy damage compared to the other ADCs. And she is not very good in much situations. There's very niche situations where you're going to want MF. But even then, there's still better options. So because of this, I put her in D tier. Following right after MF is Senna. Now, Senna, I think, is actually an S+ tier ADC, but because you need a fasting partner, that is why it's in D tier. If you are able to have a partner where you can run fasting Senna, then this champion definitely deserves to be in S tier, but because the odds of you guys having that friend that can really play, Gragas, Galio, Nasus, so that you can scale in the lane and abuse Senna, it's just the odds are low with that, and so that's another reason why Senna is D tier. But she provides a lot of damage, a lot of utility with her root, with her movement, with her third skill, and her shield that she gives with her ultimate. So she's definitely fully kitted with amazing tools. But the fact that you need to have a friend to run the fasting Senna, that is why she is in D tier. Now next up, C tier. We got a bunch of champions in here to go over. First up, we got Ashe. Ashe is great, but she is only good in certain situations where you need engage with the Ashe arrow. If you need damage, are you going to pick Ashe? No, you're not going to pick Ashe. You're going to pick her for the utility, for the slow, for the vision control, for the engage ultimate, or picks with the ultimate. So that's why she's still in C tier, because she is still good, just in very rare situations. She has great range, and if you run Ghost with Ashe, she's actually quite mobile. So overall, still a great pick, but I wouldn't tell you to play this champion to climb to Challenger with, all right? The items still work great on her. If you guys have not seen my most recent Ashe video, we go absolutely crazy with her, especially with Nova Remake's build. But I still do believe she's in C tier because she's just not that hyper carry, and that's what you need in ranked at the moment. Next up, we got Caitlyn and Draven. Actually, we're going to talk about both these champions together because they're basically both the same. Caitlyn and Draven are both ADC champions that have to win the lane. Like, they have to win the lane. They need gold to really be useful. Now, because they are good at, like, if you pick Caitlyn and if you pick Draven, you will win lane. You will win lane, and so that's why they are in C tier, not D tier, because they're still very good. So if you need to punish your lane, if you're in a draft where you're against a Vayne, Sona, and you want to punish that lane with Caitlyn, Draven, they will do that extremely well. So they're still great picks if you want to win the dragon lane, but if you want to actually carry the game, they're not really that good picks. And so that's why they are both in C tier, because they practically do the same thing. Lastly, in the C tier, I think a lot of people are going to be mad at me with this one, but I do have Samira in C tier because she gets pretty much countered by a bunch of things. I mean, she gets countered by CC. She can get exploded quite easily. And she also gets countered by that enchantment item, Repulsor. Repulsor literally counters her ultimate. So even if your team doesn't have CC, you could still counter it with an enchantment. And because of that, she is in C tier. Now, I'm not saying that she is bad. She is very, very strong, but she needs to be picked in a certain composition against a certain type of draft so that she could really that she could really flourish in the game. And so because of all those reasons, she is another champion that is in C tier. Now that we have all those champions, now that we have C and D done, we could get into the next two tiers, which have a lot of interesting champions in them. So in the B tier, we got a bunch of hyper carries. We got three of the best hyper carries in the game. We got Jinx, we got Tristana, we got Vayne. Now, these champions are all good. They're all good. Like, I can't tell you I think Jinx is better than Tristana or Vayne, and I can't say like Vayne's better than Tristana, Jinx. Like, they're just all even, but they're just good in their own ways. Obviously, these champions do extremely well when you do have that enchanter support. So if you need a champion that does a lot of damage, is super good in that certain comp, like if I want a hyper carry, you know, I'm gonna go Jinx. If they're super squishy, I'm going to go Tristana. If they're super tanky, I'm going to go Vayne. So they basically are all the same. They just have their own specialty. So make sure you draft them accordingly to the enemy composition. Now, lastly, the one pick that does not go well, like that is not the same as the Jinx, Tristana, Vayne, is the Corki. Corki is not necessarily a hyper carry, but he has a bunch of damage. He has great poke with his ultimate, especially if you're running Man Immune. And he just has a bunch of damage. And the package utility is extremely useful in dragon fights. And if you're able to use this package to win a dragon fight, that will put your team so ahead that can actually literally secure you a win. So Corki, very underrated, I feel like, but extremely powerful and definitely deserves to be high on this list. And I think B tier is the perfect tier for him. Now the A tier. The A tier is going to be very interesting because I got some picks that might kind of catch you off guard. So we have Varus in the A tier. Varus used to be S+ tier, but because he got nerfed in patch 4.2a, he is just not the same behemoth that he used to be. Now, he is still extremely OP with the AD and AP variant builds that you can go. So he definitely deserves to be an A tier. He has a bunch of damage, a bunch of utility, and the fact that he could go AD and AP makes him very versatile in the drafting phase, especially if you have an AD mid laner or an AP mid laner, because you could be very flexible with this pick. Now after that, we got Twitch, guys. Twitch is so broken. Like, it's actually crazy how broken Twitch is, and they actually nerfed Twitch's jungling. But I'm telling you guys, if you guys learn how to play Twitch, you will do so many disgusting things with this champion. It's actually ridiculous how much damage Twitch does with his ultimate, especially with the AP build. And if you get fed on Twitch, you could literally hard carry a game with the ultimate, especially if you use the right build. Now for the next champion following is Lucian. Lucian is an A tier as well, because I think Lucian, for example, you might be wondering, Lucian's kind of like Caitlyn Draven. He just is a lane bully. And you are right, he is a lane bully, but he's a lot better to play in team fights, and he doesn't really get countered by as many things. The thing is with Lucian is you got to be able to snowball your games and then not give up that lead. You do not want to throw with Lucian, but he is extremely good. He has a lot of damage. His attack speed and range being increased is a huge buff for him and makes him very good to play in team fights. Now, next up, maybe you guys might be like, wow, DNZio, I'm actually surprised you have this champion so high. I actually have Xayah. I've been playing Xayah a lot. I have such a great win rate with Xayah. She is super, super good because she is so amazing in team fights. That's what makes her so much better than a lot of these ADCs on this list, because she is so good at team fighting and she doesn't need an enchanter support. Like, Xayah is so flexible as well because she just counters engages, and she also has a lot of damage, especially with her second skill. And her feather is able to make you control the team fight because the enemy team cannot just run into you. So with all of that, that brings her into the A tier. And I mean, she's able to use the new items extremely well, which makes her even harder to kill, because if you have a Mortal Shield Bow, Phantom Dancer, you got movement speed, you got a barrier, and then a combination with your ultimate, you're basically unkillable. Now with the S tier, I think all 4 of these champions are S tier and single-handedly are the best ADCs to play in if they are up, honestly, guys. First up, Jhin. Jhin, absolutely broken. They adjusted him, so now you're faster. You do less damage, but you're even faster now. Extremely broken. If you want to main one champion to get Challenger as an ADC, I'm telling you, Jhin is the champion to abuse right now. He does so much damage. His abilities provide you so much utility in team fights. The ultimate allows you to secure off kills, and your auto attacks just hit so hard with these items. Next up, yours truly, Kaisa, the champion, probably with a 90% ban rate in ranked. You're able to get you are able to get all 3 evolves now without having to build different types of items. You can go AP, you can go AD with Kaisa. She's just overall so strong. And if you do not punish Kaisa in the lane phase, she will dominate the game in the later stages. Next up, my favorite ADC right now, Zeri. Zeri is extremely broken, guys. I mean, once she has so much range, she has a really long dash. She has zaps. Her ultimate makes her fast, do more damage. The items work so well on her because you're getting physical vamp with the Immortal Shield Bow. You're getting that extra barrier. The Phantom Dancer makes you faster. The new Bloodthirster buff is absolutely broken on her. And so she is in S tier. She is in S tier, man. And I think the only thing with her is she is pretty hard, so you will need to master her in order to play her at an extremely high level. And lastly, on my tier list, we got Ezreal, man. Ezreal. My boy Ezreal, he got a buff as well, so he definitely deserves to be in S tier. He does insane poke damage, extremely strong in the laning phase, very hard to punish, and is overall an extremely safe pick to go into any type of draft. So with that, guys, that is my ADC tier list for patch 4.2a. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this, what you agree with, what you disagree with, and I will definitely give it a good read, because at the end of the day, it is everyone else have their own personal beliefs, and some might view these champions to be a lot stronger or a lot weaker. So like I said, please let me know your guys' thoughts, and if you guys are new here, make sure to sub up to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.